Hi, everyone. As they mentioned, my name's Taylor Blades. I lead marketing at Yardi. I've been at Yardi for about 3 years now. Prior to that, I was at a property management company based in DC, so I've had the pleasure of being on both sides. In the last 3 years at Yardi, I've been primarily focused on our AI platform, Virtuoso, and what the impact of AI will be on the industry and our clients. What I want to focus on today is the shift from automation to agency that we're seeing within this industry. This shift into agentic AI is more than just routing tasks or responding to questions. It's actually executing end-to-end workflows. And I know you guys have been hearing a lot about AI over the last 3 days. My hope for today is really give you some real context of what's happening in real estate, and then an actionable playbook of how you can start implementing it. I want to start with calling out that AI is going to be transformational. A lot of you already know that. CEO at Alphabet made the statement that artificial intelligence will have a more profound impact on humanity than fire, electricity, and the internet. Former CEO at IBM made the statement that AI will not replace humans, but humans who use AI will replace humans who don't. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later. This next graph is a chart done by Meter. They're an AI research firm. And what they primarily look at is the length of tasks that AI can accomplish. So on this y-axis, you're looking at the length of task, which is really proxy for complexity of the task. In 2019, we were at about 30 seconds. So that meant AI was able to respond with a canned pet policy. In 2022, we got up to about 6 minutes, so maybe giving a resident their lease expiration date. Moving into 2025, we were at about 1 to 6 hours. So that might be, auditing an entire property's lease files for compliance issues. So we closed 2025 at 6 hours. Today, 3 months into 2026, we are at 12 hours. 3 months, the length of tasks that AI could handle doubled. This is an unprecedented rate of change, right? Like we talked earlier about it being more impactful than electricity and the internet. It's also expanding more rapidly than all of these past advancements. And I can see it even going from conferences, being at OpTech to RETCON. There's so many more conversations of the way that all of you are kind of implementing AI in your day-to-day roles. What's going to be important with that incredible pace of change is that you're implementing technology that's able to kind of keep up with the change. If you don't, if you're kind of getting stuck in something that's not flexible, you'll be in a constant kind of change management cycle. So that's something to keep in mind. Miles Brundage also made the statement that by the end of 2027, almost every economically valuable task that can be done on a computer will be done by a computer. So in addition to the pace of change being something we've never seen before, it's also going to be more scalable and dynamic than any technology we've seen before. And then there's real estate, right? And before I talk about where we're going, I think it's important to acknowledge where we've been in the past. In the last big wave of AI, in 2021, you can see that we were further down the curve, right? Professional services, pharma, big tech, they were the ones who really took advantage of that last wave of AI. And there are structural reasons for that. I know people like to say real estate is always behind, but there was a reason why we were further down the curve. The last wave of AI was really focused on data and forecasting. And as all of you in the room know, we are in an operationally complex industry with not a lot of things kind of documented, and we're dealing with real physical assets. But that's where things get exciting in this next wave. This next wave is focused on operationally complex workflows. And so we really are poised to take advantage of the next wave, and I believe we will not be this far down the curve going forward. Now, at conferences like this, I know all of you hear a lot of the left side of the screen. It's going to be an AI revolution. We have chatbots for everything. You guys are going to be able to do more with less. But when we speak to operators every single day, we're hearing a lot more of the right side of the screen. We have margin compression. We have breakdowns in workflows between leasing and resident services and maintenance. And our residents want more than ever before, but we're getting less out of the asset. So let's shift the conversation more to where the opportunity with AI is around the operational pressures you're experiencing today. Implementing AI in the right way across workflows within your organization is going to result in faster cycles, unburdened staff, not non-existent staff, end-to-end execution, and residents that are happier. Now, a big way that we accomplish those opportunities is the shift we've seen from automation to agentic AI. Automation kind of worked off rules, right? If this, then that. It routed specific tasks, and often it broke down and needed a human to step in a lot of times along the way, right? We looked at the length of task AI could handle. If AI could only handle 30 seconds worth of tasks, a human has to step in quite often. With Agentic AI understands context of conversations that have happened before. It chooses next best actions, and it's able to complete complex multi-step workflows. A good example of that is a resident who has a noise complaint. With simple automation, a canned response is going back to that resident saying, "I'm so sorry to hear that. We'll speak to your neighbor." Agentic AI is able to say, "Ms. Smith, I know this is the third time that you've had a noise complaint with your neighbor. And I know you have to wake up early and have a demanding job, so it must be really challenging for you to not be able to get a good night's sleep. We'll escalate this to our manager and speak to the resident." Right? So it has empathy. It understands past conversations. It knows that Ms. Smith has an early job and a good night's sleep is important to her. Now, what does this look like? These AI agents are executing tasks within your organization. There are instances where AI will need to hand off to a human. What's important is that it is a smooth handoff so that the human knows what AI has already done, and the human's also being guided on next best steps. Now, a big important thing when you start thinking about implementing AI at your organization is thinking cross workflows. We have a bunch of incredible AI solutions that are within silos. Yardi has them as well. But it's important to think about those workflows that cross the entire organization, because that is really where you unlock the power of AI, and I'll show a few key examples of that. Here's a quick example. I know you guys probably can't see the screens, but don't worry, I'll talk you through it. The first example we're in the resident portal, right? The resident says, "I have a toilet that keeps running." They upload a photo. AI gives them a few quick tips that maybe they could fix it themselves. They say, "Nah, I want to submit a work order." Then the maintenance tech is getting that work order. AI is flagging that this is an urgent work order, right? We have running water, and this resident only has one bathroom in their apartment, so we need to jump on this quickly. From the photo that the resident uploaded, AI is saying, "We know what needs to be ordered to fix this issue. We've ordered it for you," and now the maintenance tech can show up ready to complete the work order without any kind of stall. Then the invoice comes in for the parts we needed to order to fix the running toilet. AI knows that this work order is below the cap that the organization has set. It knows it meets all of the rules. It knows the work order that these parts were ordered for, and it's automatically approved. This invoice is not a high dollar invoice. But in your organizations today, a human, sometimes 2 or 3, would have to touch this invoice before it gets approved. We're working with a 150,000 unit client to create agents that will complete month-end close. All of you at some point in your career have probably touched month-end close in some way, and you know it is a complex process with lots of steps, and it is very manual. Now, you have to start small in these instances. If anyone tells you they're going to give you one agent that's going to do all month-end close for you, I don't believe them. This client called out one step within month close, which was exceptions. And they had structure in place. They had 4 reports that they would pull to look at exceptions. They had rules and things that they looked for to call out the exceptions, but it was labor intensive. And so we said, okay, what if AI could pull the 4 reports, look at the rules you've established, and flag the exceptions to the right persons that they could handle it before month-end close came. It happened on a weekly basis. Now, this is small, right? AI is not even handling the exceptions. They're just finding them and flagging them to the on-site team. But this organization was able to save 8 hours per property per month, 750 properties. That's 6,000 hours. Depending on what the people who are handling these exceptions make, that's over $100,000 in savings with one simple AI agent. And now they're one step closer to completing month-end with AI. Now, if you're saying, okay, I'm ready to implement all of this, but I don't really know how, I have AI in specific silos of my organization, and I'm not sure how to scale it. We worked with McKinsey to establish 6 design principles to get you started. I won't go through all of them, but I will call out a few. Prioritize around value. We looked at that slide that called out some of the operational pressures you guys are all experiencing today. Don't let a vendor tell you what your problems are. You know what your problems are, and you know what you want to tackle first. So document those, and then find the solution that's going to fix the problems you're having. If you implement a bunch of AI just for the sake of implementing AI, you won't be the one that gets ahead. The next thing I'll call out is finding someone who can sit across all of your workflows within your organization. You may have marketing leaders or accounting leaders, but if you don't have someone that can look across the entire organization and look for those workflows that touch multiple people, you'll be behind in kind of how to implement AI. A good example of that is security deposit accounting, right? That touches the resident, sometimes the maintenance tech if you're in a state where you need to take videos and photos, the property manager, maybe resident services who's communicating with the resident about their status of their deposit, and then your corporate accounting team. That touches a lot of people. That's something that happens every single day, right? So unless you can have someone who's looking on top of the entire organization, that will be key. The last thing I'll say is find the best and reskill the rest. Mark, on a panel yesterday with Rose Associates called out that AI skills on your resume will be just like Excel skills are today. You will need to look for the next generation that's going to be keen to AI, know what it's capable of, and help your organization implement it. They don't need to be able to build AI products or code their own things, but they do need to kind of have and speak that language. To dilute that down into 6 simple steps, map your application landscape. I've heard a lot this week about tech sprawl. And so think about where data silos might exist, and make sure you're aware. Maybe you like it that way, but just make sure you're aware that that is going to kind of block AI from being able to move across that workflow. Document your workflows. That exception example was only possible because the organization said, here's the 4 reports we pull every single month, and here are the very specific things we look for, right? Every single one of you are probably in leadership roles, you're hiring people. You say, here's the job we want you to do, here's the tools we're gonna give you, here's the steps, and here's the training of how to do it. Start thinking about AI in that way. It's not that complex, right? We've all hired people and taught them how to do a job. Now we're just teaching technology how to do a specific job. Start small, but finish. That's a big deal, right? That exception example that I keep going back to was a small thing with a big impact. Now that the organization has completed that small step, they can move on to automating all of month-end close. And I think arguably the most important one on this slide is defining measurable impact. None of this matters unless it's solving a challenge you're having today. Document what your prior state is compared to what AI is accomplishing for you. And if it's not working, turn it off. In this kind of rapid environment, there's no need to waste time on something that's not working for you. With all of that, I've spoken about the organizations that implement the most AI are not going to be the ones that get ahead. It's going to be the ones that implement AI with strategy and to solve those specific pain points that they have today. And with that, that's how you accomplish these reduced cycle times, improve performance predictability, and elevate human roles. Thank you.